sometimes people say, oh, marriage is just a piece of paper. All that, you know, I love him, we have a great relationship, it doesn't matter. But it turns out it matters a lot, and it matters whether someone is willing to make a vow, whether you are willing to make a vow to that other person, and whether they are willing to make not just a private vow, but to stand up before God and before the United States of America and before family and friends and say, this is the person is going to be my partner. I'm going to join with them. I'm going to be faithful to them. We're going to raise our children together. All of our money belongs together, and this is until death do us part.
Now, Daryl, will you have this woman to be your wife, to live together in the covenant of marriage? Will you love her?
There's more than the piece of paper. There's something else in saying, I'm making a commitment to you. To you, not anybody else. Because if I don't say that, I may have that commitment now, but some nice-looking pants or skirt comes along, and I can be out the door, wash my hands, and it's done. Now, does it happen in marriage? Sure it does. But guess what? It's a little more difficult. And so maybe the difficulty of the process may make you think about, can we work through this or not?
The movies nowadays and TVs, they can display marriage as being, it's always like at the end of the movie, and then they get married, like that's the climax and everything is going to be perfect from there on out.
There will be a lot of things that you disagree about. It might be this particular thing now, 15 years, 10 years from now, it will be something else. So the real issue is, how will you treat each other? What will the process be that you will use to resolve things?
It changes the way the couple looks at each other. It changes the way the community looks at the couple. It changes the way the couple looks at the future. And all of these turn out to be very, very important. And then there's also the fact that when someone isn't willing to do that for you, or you aren't willing to do that for the other person, that should set off something in your head, something important. It doesn't necessarily mean that you ought to be willing to do it with this person. Maybe this isn't the right person. Maybe what you want isn't marriage, but it is a big flashing warning sign telling you that because you're not willing to take this step, there's something about this relationship which is not like marriage, and you need to pay attention to why that is and what that is.
You can be committed and be happy. You can love one woman for the rest of your life, and vice versa. You can be a father to your children. You can teach them the right things, and not feel ashamed.
LL Cool J, famous rapper, he's married. Will Smith and his wife Jada Pinkett, married couple. Ja Rule, another rapper, he's married. Master P, rapper, he's married. There are a lot of people out there that are really married. They don't profess to be married, they don't talk about it in their music, but they're married, and they are examples of people who have made a decision. I'd rather be married than be single out there playing the game.
I found out quite often a lot of people enter into a marriage saying, well, if it don't work out, I'll just divorce him. I mean, there's some things that I don't like about him, there's some things that I'm not quite sure about. But yeah, I mean, you know, I kind of like him, I like being around him. But marriage is a lifetime commitment. You have to be very careful in choosing a life mate.
What we're talking about with marriage is a vow to love one other person the way that God loves everyone. And it turns out for human beings, this is very hard, but it's also very gratifying. I mean, the alternative is not fulfillment to marriage. The alternative is to be the kind of person who hasn't been able to give and receive lasting love.
The marriage vow is a promise of sexual fidelity and financial union.
With this ring, I thee wed. With my body, I thee worship. And with all my worldly goods, I thee endow.
A promise to love and take care of children who result from their sexual union. A promise of unchanging commitment.
I take thee to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish till death do us part.
A public vow in front of family, friends, and the whole community. A promise that changes the way a couple looks at themselves and each other and the way they are viewed by the community. Remember, be very careful in selecting who to marry. You will have disagreements. The way that you resolve these will determine how happy your marriage is. To receive, give first.